Eight of Cups family. Welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot and welcome to your short horoscope for Scorpio season. Happy November, guys. It's definitely a very intense month to say the least. Scorpio season is always intense. It just is. It's about the changing. It's about the transformation. It's about the new growth, which often entails the shedding and the letting go. I like to always remind people that when we look at the whole of a season, it's very much deeply connected to the seasons in the Northern Hemisphere. So to get a good idea of what Scorpio is about, you want to take a look at what's happening in nature right now. What is going on is there's a certain amount of death taking over our environment. Things are not thriving. There's a lot of beauty in death, which is why if you are lucky enough to be in the Northern Hemisphere, in more of the North American regions where the leaves begin to turn these beautiful colors and everything looks vibrant and beautiful and alive, and then things start to shed, the leaves fall off and we see the bare bones of what's going on. And that's what Scorpio season is. It's the shedding so that we could see the bare bones of things. Scorpio also represents the underworld, the swamp, and oftentimes during Scorpio season, we tend to find out information that was otherwise hidden from us. Now, that could be due to a million different things, from external circumstances, other people lying to you, other people manipulating the situations, or it could just be how you manipulate or, disempower yourself in some way. Scorpio represents kind of the investigator, and it also represents, in financial terms, a reconciliation. So it's a great time for assessment. Oftentimes you look at nature, again, going back to this nature, and we tend to see the animals that are getting ready for the winter months, getting ready for their hibernation, making sure they have enough food, making sure that, and this is kind of where we're at mentally as well. We're in the preparation for winter. A lot of us are assessing our finances in certain ways as well. And you'll see this play out absolutely this month as far as the economy goes. There's going to be a lot more questions coming up, and we're going to want to get to the bottom of stuff. Why does this work that way? Why is this happening? What does this mean? You'll probably, I often see, because Scorpio does rule an investigative and journalism kind of thing, you're going to see a lot of news stories come out that could be somewhat shocking, and it could really change the way that you look at things. And I've been telling everybody, I don't care what side you're on of the political game, or if you're just completely sick of it, there's no way we're not affected. And it's probably a good idea to pay attention to what's happening with a healthy amount of detachment. And the Jupiter in Aquarius is going to help us with that. We can't be so attached to outcomes. We know that with Jupiter moving through Aquarius, and we're definitely going to know that when Jupiter starts to move through Pisces, that this is not a time for attachments. It is a time of release and letting go and understanding where we are in the bigger picture of things. The saving grace is we're moving into Sagittarius season, and that's going to be a beautiful, hopeful, regenerative time if we put in the hard work now. So end of October, most of November is going to be really getting to the bottom of our shadow work. This is going to fall in a different part of all of our charts. So for some of us, we're getting to the bottom of where we are financially. What's holding us back? What's stopping us from making these transformations? There's going to be an emphasis on our need for freedom. Obviously, as you could say, things are playing out in the collective as a need for freedom. A lot of people are afraid that their rights are being stripped from them, and that Venus and Sag, and then as Mercury starts to move through Sag and the sun moves through Sag, there's going to be a bigger emphasis on our freedom. And we have to figure out what's holding us back before we figure out how to become free of it, right? We've got to get to the bottom of these stories that we tell ourselves. And the great thing about Scorpio is that it's so deeply psychological. This isn't about like the little stuff. It's about really getting to the bottom of things psychologically. It's about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. Now, I always say that there's always two very drastically different ways that this energy can express itself. And the lower realm of Scorpio is to be super protective, very vindictive, very secretive and private, and doesn't really like vulnerability. But these are also the qualities that it requires in order to have that evolution. And we're all clearly on this path of evolution. So if we can't be vulnerable in our relationships, vulnerable in ourselves, if we can't take those risks, then the alternative to that is that things will simply stay the same. And the fixed signs oftentimes like things to stay the same, even if they're not comfortable. However, this month, we're going to get an idea of where that comes from within us. What is holding us back? What's keeping us from making these changes? What are those old habits or those old storylines we told ourselves? What's the fear? Really, the Scorpio season is, what is the fear? And if you're doing or operating out of a place of fear, you can kind of expect to be cracked wide open in this area. You know, if we want or need certain things or people to behave a certain way or to stay the same and not allow these things to change and grow, then that's where we hold ourselves back as well. And this is a moment of breakthrough for that, as we have a new moon in Scorpio making an opposition to Uranus in the beginning of the month. This happens on the 4th, and this is a really big energy for these huge breakthroughs. A lot of us are going to figure out why we do the things we do and that we don't want to do them anymore. Now, even in terms of like our diet and our food, and what are we ingesting energetically is a super big part of the storyline this month. Now, I know I just said that we have to pay attention because Scorpio season is going to demand our attention to get to the bottom of these stories. Who do we believe? What do we believe? How's it going to affect us? How do we want to change? Of course. But there's also this energy of allowing the transformation to occur. Remember, there's things we have to let go of. So we have to take a good look at ourselves, psychologically, how we do things, how we hold on to things. And we also have to reassess, where would we be? Would we be better off if we let some of these things go? Some of us, this is like cleaning out the closets, cleaning out the basement kind of stuff. Some of us, this is reassessing our finances. You know, there's this emphasis on that freedom, which means that we're going to want to shed some stuff so we can be freer. Sometimes fate has a way of taking care of this for you. You know, oftentimes I see in these transits, you know, you want to travel, you want to go all these different places, but you have like an elder pet at home. And these transits can come in and kind of end that storyline, not because you wanted it to end, of course, but because the universe says it's time. It's time for this phase to be over and this adventure to begin. It's not always easy. And oftentimes Scorpio energy can be painful, but it's about confronting and feeling the pain and then moving through it. It's about allowing things to end so we can create the new story. A lot of us collectively are having these stories play out in our careers and in our finances, for sure. This is going to be an overwhelming theme, especially as Venus starts to move into Capricorn. This is not a comfort level for Venus at all. Venus in Capricorn means that we've got to kind of hold back a little bit. We've got to, again, like I explained with the animals, what are they doing? They're making sure they have enough food for the long winter. And we have to pull back and make sure that we have enough resources to get us through the harder times. Some of us need our resources to be a form of faith. Some of us, it's actually quite literally financially. Some of us, it's support from other people. There's needs there's wants, and there's something in between here. And it's those necessary tools that we need to recreate this next transition phase. Guys, 2022, Jupiter moving into Pisces. It's a 6-year. This is a very spiritual time for everybody on the planet. And oftentimes that means that because we have to renew our faith, there might be external circumstances that are making you really lean on it at this time. Some of us are facing losing our jobs or our careers. Some of us are facing having to take our children out of school. These are all very real considerations that are going on for people at this time. And as you could see, that all of those options can create an energetic field within us of fear. We got to look that fear right in the face and say, well, what's the worst case scenario and how do I prepare for it? What can I do to strengthen my resolve and my faith when things aren't really going my way? And what do these things mean? What do these roadblocks mean? How do we change these things? The universe wants you to change. Eclipse season is when these things become necessary. It's when the universe sweeps in and makes the changes anyways. So it's a good time to confront your fears. It's a great time to get to the bottom of the hows and whys and the whats. It's a good time to look at what you see for the future and what are the changes you can make right now in order to move forward toward that path. If anybody is suffering depression, and again, there's so much Saturnian energy for the past year or so, really the past several years, that we could feel this culmination and we could say to ourselves, man, I just don't feel good. I feel achy. I feel tired all the time. I don't feel optimistic. Of course, we're embodying this energy, and we're also embodying the energy of those that we're surrounded with by the news that we're watching, by, just all the craziness that's happening. Maybe it's a good time for some of us to address that, maybe by seeking therapy in some way, seeking some kind of healing dualities. It's a great time for that. It's a great time to dig into our dream interpretations. And it's also, like I said, a great time to look financially deeper into these things. And what do we need? Is there things that we could sell or get rid of in order to free up more financial money, to free up our time? Maybe there's sacrifices we can make so we don't have to work a full-time job, so that we can give more time to our creative projects, which are going to become so important in the next few months as that node moves to the very anaretic degrees of Gemini and Sag. And we have this full moon eclipse coming up in Taurus, and I just want to remind everybody that Taurus does rule the throat chakra, and it is in the second and third decans of this Taurus energy that we're dealing with between the eclipse and where Uranus is located. Now, the second decan of Taurus is Virgo. So again, mundane astrology, the things that are taking place now is quite literally changes for the way that we serve others. So you're looking at these changes with the police. You're looking at these mandates affecting, the medical service-oriented things, pilots, these are all people that, and even the military is ruled by Virgo. So you're looking at people, massive amounts of the collective that are going through these changes and having to confront these fears of whether, if I don't want to get a vaccine, is this worth losing my job or losing my career, or all these years of college and the investments that I put into them? These are not easy decisions. And that's where we can kind of trust these eclipses to come through and change our momentum towards our destiny. And so Venus in Sag, Mercury is going to be moving through Sag. Eventually the sun is going to catch up and move through Sag at the end of the month, closer to this transit. And Taurus also rules the throat chakra. And there's a need for expressing our self-worth here. What are our priorities? What are our values? We're going to begin to associate strongly with some very literal hopes and values that we have. What do we want that new life to look like? What do we want these new structures that we're creating to look like? And it has to be more authentic and of ourselves. Jupiter is going to demand this at the end of Aquarius. There's no more masking things. Quite literally, there's no more masking what we want and what we desire. It's just simply this energy is too big within us for it to be ignored. So it's a really beautiful time for us to assess what really matters to us. Take ownership of the things that we truly want and desire, and to let go of the rest. Now, this month is a lot about compromise. We're going to have to find the compromise. If you are in any kind of a Scorpio energy in which you can't accept a loss in some way, because Mars is going to move into that area in Scorpio, it's going to trigger our egos a lot. And again, I'm going back to those two different forms of that Scorpio energy. If we don't get our way, we could be very vindictive. We can become very manipulative. We're going to feel this need to control situations. This comes from a deep-seated, deep-rooted need to be in control so that we don't have to confront the unknown. The other side of Scorpio is if you let go, oftentimes the things we fear, we're never really worthy of it to begin with. So we have to allow these transformations to take place. We have to allow the dying off in order for the new growth to emerge later. That's ultimately the theme this month, guys. It's a heavy, intense month, but it's a great pause, and it's a great time to assess where we are, what we want, and how to move towards that in a better way. So in a lot of ways, you can make so much of a leap forward this month by confronting all of that inner stuff that blocks us. All right, guys, I do hope you have an amazing November. I hope you enjoy your November readings, and I'll be seeing you shortly. Take care. Bye. Hello, Pisces. Welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot, and welcome to your reading for November. I love this reading so much for you guys. I just kind of want to jump right in. You guys this month are coming out as a Page of Swords, and I love that because it tells me that you are in a learning phase, which means that the possibilities are endless. And that's the energy that I get from this, of inspiration and excitement. And there's an idea here of being really excited to learn the things you didn't know. So your environment is that of the Tower. Now, I know it looks ominous, right? Like the Tower, meaning everything's going to fall apart or change, but really this is very symbolic of Uranus coming through in your third house, which kind of comes through like this tornado, and it says, wait a second, change the way you think. And I love it. I love the idea that once you just change the way that you think, or the way that you perceive, or the way that you look at the world, everything changes, and therefore everything is possible. And there's such a feeling of hope and limitlessness in this reading. And I think that November is going to be a journey towards the limitlessness. Now, I want to point this out to you because it's just been so magical. All of these readings this month have been so magical, the way that these cards match the numbers in the above row. But literally, yours is amazing. We have a 3 here, and then a card number 30 breaking down to 3. We have a 6, and then a card number 51 breaking down to 6. A 6 here, a 51. And then we have this card, second house, with the 2 here, and 17 breaking down to an 8, 26 breaking down to an 8. Guys, there's no doubt in my mind, Pisces are getting aligned. They're falling into alignment. And I think that's what this 3 of Pentacles and this lightning card is all about. See, the universe is giving you gifts. gifts in the form of inspiration in one way or another. And this can come from all different avenues. You could find a spiritual teacher. You can find new friends that are more like-minded and open to the way that you think. And as well, it could just be this divine inspiration, reading a book or seeing something on Instagram that says, maybe I should check this out. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should try this spiritual duality, like whatever it is. It feels very ethereal to me, but it's just a part of your soul's transition in this lifetime. And it's a pivotal part for sure. You don't pull the lightning card and the tower card in your environment when your environment is not offering you a chance to change things drastically in your life. So I really, really love this 3 energy and this lightning being inspiration, and that it is needed. In other words, Pisces, in some way or form, you put a request out to the universe to show you the way. Send me teachers, send me guidance in some way. And the universe absolutely listened. Because the thing about lightning is that it is so useful in our environment, right? It lights the darkness, sort of like an eclipse. It brings light to the dark. And as well, when you look at this in the form of an inspiration or enlightenment, we have to take an account of Jupiter finishing up its tour in your 12th house, getting ready to bless you as it moves into your sign in the beginning of 2022, which is a very magical year. And it will be a very magical year for you, full of divinity and spirituality, but there's no amount of gifts the universe can give you without having to have taken that trek through that 12th house, right? Jupiter going to the 12th, it's like expanding the isolation, expanding the loneliness, because the universe had to get you to this place where you knew something had to give and something had to change. And here we have the 6 of Pentacles, and we have this card number 51, the staff. And I love that these two came out together, because the staff is always about the balance, or what we use to gain balance. And much likely, as we see the scales and the 6 of Pentacles, this could be where you're giving your attention or your energy to 2 very different things. Now, this could play out in a lot of different ways. For some Pisces, it's giving energy to 2 different groups of people. Like there's these people that really resonate with you, and then there's these people that have been around from the past, whatever that is. If you have 2 different jobs or 2 different career intentions. And sometimes it's just the difference between the masculine and the feminine. And maybe we've given a little bit too much from one energy and not enough of the others. So for example, you could have spent a great amount of time kind of more in this feminine energy of feeling her way through things, going through emotional stuff, and kind of ignored like the need to take action. Or vice versa. Maybe you've been in too much of a masculine energy, which is like the need to succeed and provide and like harbor the resources, and allowing maybe not as much attention to that feminine need for like self-care. So, and I say self-care vividly because we have this Queen of Cups coming out at the end of the reading. And regardless of what the duality is for you, you know there has to be a balance. You know that both energies are needed. And so you're looking for guidance as to which direction to move in, or how to bring balance to this situation. How do you continue to do the things that you love, or be in the relationships with the people you love, and focus on the things that you need to focus on? Look, 12th house transits, especially Jupiter, and you have Saturn there. It's kind of like getting a slap on the wrist every time you kind of steer away from what you need to be paying attention to. That's very much what Saturn in the 12th is. When we can find ourselves daydreaming, fantasizing about life, and Saturn's like, yeah, but let's take those lessons and bring them down to a real physical form. And so this has been a period where you're out there gathering enlightenment, gathering inspiration, and the universe is like, what are you going to do with this? 2nd house, owning. There's something that you have to do with the lessons or the information that you are gaining at this time. There's a change in your behavior, a change in your thinking, in which you're taking ownership. And I love it. It comes out with this Two of Swords because it indicates to me a place where you were maybe stuck, frightened, unsure. There's no guarantees and what was going to come. There's no answers, right? You're kind of stuck in limbo, wondering what's going to come next, waiting for inspiration or clarity. But she has her arms crossed, which means she feels the need to protect herself, which puts you in this fear mode. And the difference between November and the past is that you're stepping out of the fear mode and you're starting to take ownership for your life. You're starting to heed the advice and the enlightenment and saying, no, you know what? I am worthy of these changes. I'm worthy of feeling better, of being in better environments with people that are like-minded, even in a job. You know, maybe some of you are leaving one job and truly devoting yourself to learning a new skill or doing something that, you know, is more indicative of your true personality and like your soul's calling. Because this is really like when this enlightenment comes from a 12th house place, when this inspiration comes through you, there's no doubt that the things and the ideas that you're getting are clearly part of your path and part of your destiny. It's a really beautiful process that the universe puts us through. But it's asking you to do something with the wisdom that you're gaining. In other words, make an investment. If somebody gives you an idea, like, oh, have you ever tried this? Go take the class. Pay for, you know, go get an astrology reading and maybe you'll get, you know, but there's an investment involved here. But truly, it's an investment in yourself. And I can't say that enough. You need to invest in yourself right now. You need to balance out the attention you give to others and start giving more to yourself. That's the only way that you could truly focus on this enlightenment period. Now we have card number 6 and card number 51. Now the 6 of Swords means that your soul is taking you to the next location, okay? Moving you to a place of safety and serenity. I have a feeling that for some of you, the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in your 12th house wasn't exactly easy because you have to confront a lot of things about yourself when this happens. And Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in the 12th house says, okay, this isn't working for you. The things that you're doing, whether you're doing them to your physical body, whether you're doing them in your relationships or in your job, they're actually a form of sabotage. And you could say something like, yes, but it's all in the name of service. Like I work to be of service of others, or I'm taking care of other people, or, you know, my energy has just been scattered in so many different areas. But that's really not how we're supposed to operate. We have to pay attention to ourselves. We have to pay attention to our fulfillment, our care, our health before we can give to other people. Otherwise, we're giving from an empty cup. And the universe wants to fill up your cup. So the 6 of Swords is kind of a process towards a brighter future and an easier way of living. Now as well, sometimes I bring this up, sometimes I don't. I see it in, because I brought up that masculine and feminine energy. And this card very much talks about, you know, you saving yourself and all the versions of you. And there's sacredness in those past versions. There's the feminine version of you. And it's nurturing and saving the part of you that does need to take care of yourself, that does have the right to feel happy and loved and provided for. And as well, your inner child. And that inner child within us really holds all of the answers. And really, if we do like all the psychoanalytical work that we could possibly do, which was probably what that retrograde Mercury was all about for you, is taking a look at our past selves and how it was wounded and how those woundings affect the way that we proceed in the world. Now, if you had a dominant parent or, a nasty ex or something, or just circumstances where people made you feel like you weren't good enough or you weren't capable of, or somebody that told you couldn't do the things that you love because you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to provide for them. We're healing that as well, which means we're in a protection mode with the Six of Swords. In every facet of our lives, we're protecting ourselves. We're taking ourselves out of those situations. We're taking ourselves out of those environments because we know that we will thrive better as a person, that we could reach higher levels of success and limitlessness, which, here we go, we have this card number 51, limitless possibility, stars in the sky. Again, see the enlightenment, which means the inspiration to move yourself to a better environment, a more nurturing, caring environment where you don't have to, overextend in one direction, where you don't have to take care of all these other people. You could focus more on yourself. And this place, this journey, this trip, this next phase in life is attained in such a different way than you've ever done anything before, because I think your intentions, Six of Pentacles, I think your intentions have always been to serve others and to do for others. And this next phase, this Jupiter coming into your sign in January, says now it's time for you, Pisces. Now it's time to do the things that you want, that resonate with your soul, to take care of you, to improve your health, to get yourself better, emotionally as well, which means we don't subject ourselves to people that are damaging, to people that, tear us down. Because we know that those voices aren't healthy. And we know that we have the power to take ourselves out of it. And we have underneath this Queen of Cups is card number 17, breaking down to an 8, Eye of the Needle, intentionality. Now, intentions, owning accountability for your own emotional satisfaction, your own health, your own body, and how imperative it is in this next phase of your life to make yourself the center of attention, to make your intentions first and foremost your emotional well-being and your happiness. And the thing is, you can trust this inner voice and this inner guidance that you're getting at this time. It doesn't come from a place of craziness, okay? And if anybody's telling you, oh, that's crazy, the universe doesn't work that way, like you don't get guidance from the other side, or astrology is not real, or like whatever those voices are, you can kind of laugh them off because you know better. And because you know that regardless of how or where the information comes from, it resonates with your soul for a reason. There's a confirmation process, right? So we have this Page of Swords, and he kind of has this graduation cap on. And to me, it represents you graduating and leaving one way of being and entering a new, right? We graduate from high school, and then we go off to college, and once again we're like starting from scratch. Same thing, we get out of college, we pay all of this money for all of this, we're in debt for all of these classes that we took, and yet we're still starting at square one after graduation. And so this is a fresh start for you, and you've earned it, okay? He's not wearing a graduation cap for nothing. He's earned this journey. And here you are, bottom of the deck, Page of Pentacles. This is a new beginning. Now, I think for most of you, this is going to play out with either a new home, a new living environment, or a new job. But whatever the new thing is coming in, because you set the right intentions, because you made yourself the top priority, It's going to bring you a lot of joy, and it's going to take you on a deeply satisfying journey. Now we have this Teos. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, I apologize for that. We are one. I exercise self-care and care for my community. There is no one spiritual path, but many. This is a reminder to stay open and curious, okay? Like I said, I was kind of getting the idea of like getting into like some metaphysical, spiritual stuff, seeking the answers, right? And it's okay. It doesn't have to be disciplined, and other people don't have to buy into it. It's really just part of your journey. And as well, I like this card because it talks about the duality of self-care and your community, and how those things need to find balance so that you can be in better alignment. And we have this Fool card here directly under this journey that you're going on, this enlightenment and this limitless possibility, which is the universe saying it's okay to let go. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to save yourself. The Tower has to happen because this is your release point and your exit route into a new and better and improved life. Pisces, this is a beautiful new beginning that's starting for you. Now, I don't know if everything's going to happen in November, but the intentions will begin to form in November. In other words, if you start to realize that the environment and the community you're living in doesn't serve you, you could start setting goals and start deciding what you need to do in order to move to a more thriving place, right? Whether you need to save money or start applying for loans for a new home or look into new apartments, or maybe you want to travel across the world. The Six of Swords does indicate as well a journey or travel. So I think it's important to kind of look at your intentions and know that you cannot make these intentions, you cannot set these goals because other people need you to. This has to come from a place of self-care, because this is the rebalancing that needs to occur in order to set a solid foundation. If you're a Pisces who has spent all of their life doing the things that other people need them to do or doing what other people tell them to do, now is the time for you to take back your power. Just like I said, that's what happens every Scorpio season. We're asked to take back our power because the new phases of life are going to be so much sturdier and so much more conducive of who we are. And it just feels like it's from a better, stronger foundation that we're creating these new terms for our lives. You know, when you're in your 20s, you do things because there's a promise of money or there's a promise of success, or, you know, when you get into your 40s and your 50s and you start to gain this wisdom through life, and now you're like, oh, none of that shit ever meant anything anyways. Really, my priority is my happiness, my health. That's what means the most to me at this time. And we're going to start making decisions from a much smarter, emotionally intelligent place. All right, Pisces. Beautiful reading. I'm so happy. I think it's going to be a really beautiful November, guys. Allow yourself to be inspired and enjoy it. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.